All right. More important, how are you feeling today? That's great. Look, you guys have all kinds of opportunities, but you also have challenges. Now, I am absolutely excited and I'm very honored to be here with you today, right here, right now. I will tell you that we're going to have fun together. That sound okay? And the next hour is going to go by just like that. Now, as network marketers, as internet marketers, like me, you think differently. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to feel total love, joy, passion, and connection with your spouse every day? Wow. Have you ever wondered if the wedding culture in America actually sets marriages up to fail? Have you ever wondered if everything you were ever taught about marriage was wrong? By show of hands, how many of you would like to have a blueprint for a lasting, loving marriage? Okay. By show of hands, how many of you would like to have a simple tool that you can use to measure the improvement in your relationship? Would you like to have that? Okay. By show of hands, how many of you would like to have a proven method to increase the connection with your spouse? Like do that? Great. Okay. Well, in a moment you're about to discover 5 principles and practices of lasting, loving marriages. In a moment you're about to discover the secret to listening correctly. In a moment, you're about to discover a simple plan to make your spouse feel treasured. What would it feel like to be able to create that feeling in that man or that woman that you love, that they feel cherished? Okay. Why talk about marriage now? Because in the United States, divorce is an epidemic. The American Psychological Association says that 40 to 50% of first marriages in the United States end in divorce. The statistics for second and subsequent marriages are even worse. 60 to 75% of those marriages end in divorce. And divorce devastates children. See, it's not just the emotional cost to you of a divorce. It's not just the financial cost to you of a divorce. Divorce devastates children. Children of divorce are 2 times more likely to attempt suicide. They're 300% more likely to need psychiatric counseling in any given year. They exhibit higher risk-taking behaviors, greater addictive behaviors, more educational problems. They even tend to have lower lifetime earnings. Why not? Right now, let's fix that. Who am I? Why should you listen to me? I've been married for 42 years to the same woman. I've been a trial lawyer for 36 years. I graduated from Duke Law School in 1982. So I have spent my entire married life and my entire professional life dealing with relationships, connection, communication, commitment. Those sound like the foundations for a solid relationship? Okay. Would it be okay if I share a personal story with you? All right. I was born in Columbia, South Carolina. I was the oldest child. How many of you are the oldest children in here? Okay. We took all the beatings and the abuse, right? Okay. Well, my father was a civil engineer. He was in the Air Force in the Korean War. He went to college on the GI Bill. He was the first person in his family ever to graduate from college. My mother grew up in a Methodist orphanage. She was born in 1931. When she was 6, both of her parents died. She had older siblings, but that was the Depression. Nobody had the money to take her in. So she spent 12 years growing up in an orphanage. The first thing she ever had that she really thought was hers was me. So we lived a lot of places. We moved around a lot. We went to North Carolina. We lived in Washington State. We lived in Virginia. We lived in Kentucky. And finally, when we get to Virginia, my little brother came along. And see, I always knew my parents loved me. But I also knew from the time that I was 6 years old that the day my little brother graduated from high school, my dad was gone. And that's exactly what happened. So from about 10, I got to be the adult in the family. Well, we moved when I was during my third grade, we moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky. And I was there through my junior year of high school. At one point, my dad described me to his older sister. He said, Stan is only interested in two things, chicks and baseball. Now, some of you look at that, that's ancient history. That is a 1970 All-Star team picture. Okay? Well, after my junior year of high school, my dad's business decided they were going to open an office in Montgomery, Alabama, and we get to move. How many of you have been excited about moving between your junior and senior year of high school? Not really high on my list of things to do. But you know what? There's always a plan for our lives, and sometimes we just don't understand what it is. Because 3 months after we moved to Montgomery, Alabama, I met the only chick that would ever matter again. My wife and I were high school sweethearts. We met about 2 or 3 days after she turned 16. 2 months later, we were engaged. Now, I was only 17, so I was not robbing the cradle. I was in it with her. Now, see, at this point in my life, I have a 16-year-old granddaughter who's actually older now than my wife was when we got engaged. Some boy comes up my driveway and says, "Sir, I'm going to marry your granddaughter." I say, "Son, you're not going to live long enough." Not going to happen. Now, for those of you, you get a good look at that picture. The color is real. That is a blue crushed velvet tuxedo. Now, I'm going to tell you something, men. You got to have some game to rock a blue crushed velvet tuxedo. Thank you. All right. Now, I also had hair. That's pretty good. Now, the little girl there, it's tough to see in that picture, but she's wearing a class ring and a promise ring. She's 16 years old. A year after that picture was taken, she put on a wedding ring. She's still wearing today. Now, it takes a special woman to stand beside that skinny kid in a blue tuxedo and smile. It takes an even more special woman to raise me for the last 42 years. Okay? Now, here was our life. We had our first child before my junior year of college. At the time, I was working midnight to 8 in a garbage bag factory. 9 to noon at my second job. I was going to college from 1 to 5. I would go home and spend time with my wife and my new baby. I would go to bed at 7, get up at 11, and do it again. That was college. I got admitted to law school, and we go up to check out the campus, and they say, "Now you understand, if you come here, you cannot work outside school for the first year." I said, wait, let me see if I get this. I can't have a job? Nope, can't have a job. Yes! Bonus! All I got to do is go to school? Done. What a deal. Well, we had our second child before my third year of law school. This is me as a 1982 brand new young lawyer. Some of you people remember getting pictures made at Sears or Olin Mills. They're still somewhere in your drawer, just like that one. Well, that's 2 of my children. Well, we had the third child 3 years later while I am working ridiculous hours as a young lawyer. That's our life. Then I left the security of a big law firm, started my own law firm. The little girl stayed with me. Well, January 21st, 2003 was one of the best and worst days of my life. So I'd graduated from Duke in 1982. I've been a trial lawyer for 21 years. I was actually in Michigan working on a case. I get a call from my wife. She said, "We have our first grandson. And they named him after you." Brandon Stanley. I was so joyful over his birth and so completely humbled by his name because our daughter had never said a word to me about naming her child after me. Every cell in my body was bursting with light and energy. I felt like I could fly for about 15 minutes. And I got a second phone call. She said, something's wrong with the baby. They've taken him to ICU. Whew. All those good feelings, gone. All that light and energy turned to just fear and dread. I felt like every cell in my body was lead. And I get another call a few hours later. They think Brandon has a serious heart problem. They've transported him to Rainbow Children's Hospital in Salt Lake City. So I caught the next plane to Salt Lake City. Brandon had open heart surgery when he was 6 days old, again when he was 4 months old, and he died in my daughter's arms when he was 8 months old. We brought him home to Florida, and I helped carry my first grandson to his grave. I will never forget the moment when I walked into the funeral home and I saw this little tiny metal casket and this red velvet comforter. We had to lay it on to carry it because it was so small. I remember how much it weighed. It just didn't weigh anything. I remember as we walked out, it was a beautiful fall day in Florida. You could smell the grass and things growing. And as we got closer to the graveside, I could hear people crying. And I felt empty because my little girl was hurting and I couldn't fix it. Fast forward 7 years. Another grandson's born. Austin had none of Brandon's health problems. He was a dynamo of pure energy. Austin was a force of nature. He never bothered to learn to walk. He crawled, he ran, he climbed. He was all over the place. A hug from Austin made everything better because he loved totally and unconditionally. He lived every day like there was no tomorrow because for him, there wasn't. My daughter was a night nurse. She worked 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in a hospital. So my wife spent her days taking care of the children so she could sleep. One day she put out lunch for the children and she put out a bowl of grapes. Austin choked to death on a grape in front of my wife, my daughter, his brother, and his 2 sisters. For the second time in our lives, light went out. For the second time in my life, I helped carry a grandson to his grave, and I buried him beside his brother. Our marriage should have failed. Every statistic in the world says you can't possibly make it. You're 16 and 17 when you get engaged. You're 17 and 18 when you get married. You have kids in college, kids in law school, you've lost 2 grandchildren. You can't make it. But we did. We survived and thrived because of the strong foundation of love and trust that we'd built. We were able to lean on each other and grow stronger and grow closer through struggle, through tragedy. We had, as a lawyer, I've spent 35 years protecting business owners and their businesses, their assets from creditors and predators, and that's made a tremendous difference to those families. But after losing Brandon and Austin, it just wasn't enough anymore. There had to be something more. And over the years, while all of these other things were happening, my wife and I are both working in church positions that required us to spend a tremendous amount of time but also allowed me to spend a tremendous amount of time working with couples on marriage and on family issues. What I discovered is that there are principles and practices common to lasting, loving marriages that can be taught and can be learned. Now, for me, family's freedom. Say, why would you worry about this stuff? Well, think about this for a minute. All of the true joy and happiness comes from deep, loving relationships. How many of you know people who've got a lot of money and are absolutely miserable? Okay. So you guys already know this because you've had days in your business or your job where everything was just clicking. You were flowing, things were happening, it was moving. Gary Vaynerchuk would say you were crushing it. All right? But what happened if you went home that night and got into an argument with your spouse? What happened to all of those powerful, positive feelings? They disappeared. And the next day at work, it was awful, right? Yes? Okay. If you have employees, how much productivity do you get out of your employees when they're in the middle of relationship drama? And for you guys who are marketers, you are network marketers, you are internet marketers, you have it, even it's a special challenge for you because some of you work for years building organizations and you find somewhere in that depths of that organization that power couple that gets it. And they just start blowing and going and their business is just exploding and your business is exploding. And then their relationship falls apart and that whole business disappears. And all the effort you put into it's just gone. So, what are the challenges? Challenges are couples don't have enough love and passion, joy and connection. They don't have enough time. And they don't get enough fulfillment. That's why it looks like the grass might be greener on the other side. That's why we have those kind of divorce numbers. You guys understand that the greatest natural disaster in the United States is not the latest hurricane, it's not the latest fire, it's not the latest flood. It's divorce. Divorce destroys more lives than all of those combined times a million. But I have a solution. I created the diamond relationship formula because diamonds are forever. Marriage should be forever too. So you've heard the phrase, right? Diamonds are forever, right? Marriage should be too. The diamond relationship formula will help couples have more love, more joy, more passion, more connection. It'll help them learn to prioritize their marriage. See, we're very good and very intentional in business. We are not very good or very intentional in our relationships. The diamond relationship formula will also teach you how to listen to each other correctly and much, much more. I came here today to give and to serve. Now, why do I do this? See, I'm a trial lawyer. I've been for a long time. I can do that till they carry me out from behind my desk with my boots on. But my mission is to save 1 million marriages in the next 5 years. Because, thank you. See, because the basic unit of our society is not the neighborhood, it's not the school, not the town, the city, the state, the nation. It's the family. If we save 1 million marriages, we save a lot more than 1 million children. We change generations, and we save the world one family at a time. Imagine what it would be like if every child grew up in a happy home, a loving home with their mother and their father. Imagine how different our country would be. Imagine how different our world would be. Now, what's different about the diamond relationship formula? The divorce statistics prove that what's out there doesn't work. And there's also, this isn't based on theory, guys. This is based on 42 years of living proof that it works. Now, there's some myths. This won't work for me. I've tried everything. My marriage is just terrible. And I sort of say, tried everything? Have you tried the Diamond Relationship Formula? Well, no, but I know it won't work either. Well, since you haven't tried it, that's not knowledge, that's an assumption. What happened? What do we get? Everybody know what we get when we assume? Okay. So what I'm going to ask you is this. Is there just a possibility, the tiniest possibility, that the Diamond Relationship Formula might help you take your marriage to the next level? Is it possible? Yes. Okay? Well, I don't have time. Let me see if I got this right. I don't have time to work on the most important relationship in my life, the one where I get the most joy and satisfaction. I don't have time to work on helping my spouse feel the joy and the fulfillment that I want her to have. And I don't have time to work on protecting my children's future. Really? How many of you know that when somebody says to you, no matter what you ask them, if they say, I don't have time, that's an excuse? Yes? Anybody ever tell you that? I don't have time. Okay. It costs too much. How many of you know people who've been divorced? Okay. I'll tell you, I'm a Florida lawyer, and there are some statistics in Florida that say a contested divorce will last 2 years and cost $35,000. That's a joke. That's not even close. I have some very good friends, a couple, that as a young couple had made a lot of money in the real estate market, got into a fight, decided to get divorced, spent $250,000, basically spent everything they'd accumulated, realized they couldn't afford to get divorced, got back together, and now they have a great relationship. It cost them $250,000 not to get divorced. Now, think about some of the LA divorces. Think about the numbers. What do you think it cost Tiger Woods to get divorced? Woo! Just give me a percentage, man. Just a percentage, right? Well, the reality is divorce doesn't end. If you have children, until they're 18 years old, you're co-parenting. You're going back to court over child support, visitation, who can move where. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. So I can't afford it? Really? If you could protect your children, can you afford not to? Okay. I'm going to show you a couple things here. Let's see.
Hey, I'm Chavis Camp, and I just watched Stan speak here on the main stage at Harvard Club of Boston, and wow, it was amazing. I have to admit, there must have been some onion-cutting ninjas around here, because my eyes were watering. He was talking about diamond relationships, and I had to send my wife a message, which I then had to qualify and say, no, nothing's wrong, sweetheart. I just love you and wanted you to know I was thinking about you, and that's all thanks to Stan. He's amazing and an excellent speaker as well.
All right. Now, we've managed to skip over one of the slides, but that's okay. The 5 keys to a diamond relationship. And you may want to write these down. This is something you can use today to change your relationship. Okay? The second one is listen correctly. Third one is prioritize your marriage. The fourth one is learn and grow. The fifth one is celebrate. Let's see if we can back up. I'm not sure that'll work. Nope, it's somehow just disappeared.
Hey,
that's okay. We're going to talk about in a minute. Listening correctly. Now, actually, the first one is be present. How many of you have one of these? Okay. How many of you have ever been sitting with your spouse, the person you love, and this thing dings, rings, beeps, vibrates, buzzes, and you go, whew. Anybody do that? Okay. Do you realize the message you just conveyed when you did that? Oh, good. She should. Because the message was, whatever was happening on this device, and you didn't even know what was happening, is more important to you than they were. And how many times do you think you get to tell your spouse, you're not important to me with this device, before they find someone else who makes them feel important? Do you think it would change your relationship if your spouse knew that nothing on this device could distract your attention? And think about the message you're sending to your children. When they want you to play with them, read to them, tell them a bedtime story, say prayers to them, and you go, whew. You just told this little child whose self-image you are forming, I'm not as important to Daddy as his phone. I'm not as important to Mommy as her phone. I guess I'm not worth very much, am I? I know that's not your intention, but it's absolutely the message you're conveying. How many of you have gone to a restaurant and see a couple sitting at a table together and see both of them looking down at their phones? Seen that? Hands up? Okay. How do you think, are they communicating? Are they connecting? Are they doing anything to build their relationship? So they've got this little time and space where they've found somebody to take care of the children. They're by themselves. And Sports Center is more important? Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, email? Come on. So we're going to get to the second one. So we talked about listening correctly. Men, do me a favor. Stand up. Stand up for me, man. Come on. Okay, men, do you like to solve problems? All right. Do you like to fix things? That's what we do, right? Okay, how many of you have ever had the experience where your lady comes home and she starts to tell you about a problem or a challenge that she's had that day, and you tell her how to fix it, and she's not happy? Anybody had that experience? Ladies, did you want him to fix it? No! She just wanted you to hear her. So, look, this is me for 20 years. First 20 years of our marriage, I'm a problem solver. That's why I'm a lawyer. I do that, right? I come home from work, long day. She's been there with 3 small kids. She starts telling me, and I tell her instantly, let's fix the problem, next, move on. And then I don't get spoken to for the rest of the night. And things don't work out real well. So finally, I read this book. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Have you read that? Okay. Here's what I learned, guys. I'm going to give you the secret to being a hero. Don't open your mouth. Now, do you know why I had you stand up? Because it makes sure you stay awake while she's talking to you. Sit down, man. Because here's my personal story. I'd been married about 3 months. We went to bed one night and everything was fine. I wake up the next morning, she is not speaking to me. I'm like, did I mention an old girlfriend's name in my sleep? Did I roll over and hit? What did I do? Well, what's wrong? What's wrong? And finally she says, I poured out my heart to you for 30 minutes and realized you'd been sound asleep the whole time. I resisted the urge to say, did you ever think about some point in that 30 minutes asking me a question or letting me say something? I didn't do that. I still get points for that. But I said, okay, new rule. If you want to communicate with me, at least half of my body has to be vertical. Once I lay down, unless there's something very interesting going on, there ain't no communication. Okay? So guys, here's a way to fix that. She come in and says, she tells you the problem, and you listen. Make sure you nod, yeah, just so she knows you're awake. And when she's done, here's what you do. Gee, honey, I know that must have been difficult. Is there anything you'd like for me to do? What are you going to say, ladies? No. And you won. What about that? A new rule, you won, and all you had to do was be quiet. Is that a good thing? Can that help? Ladies, would that help? All right. Okay, ladies, your turn. Stand up. Come on. You knew this was coming. Come on, ladies. Now, You realize that men and women communicate differently, right? Okay. Now, at some point you have been upset with your man about something, yes? And he says to you, "What's wrong, honey?" What's your answer? Men, is that a lie? Ooh, ladies, is that a lie? Here's the problem. Love is based on pillars of trust and respect. You just put a crack in the trust pillar because you lied to him, he knows you lied to him, and he knows you know. And if you'll lie to him about little things, why should he believe that you won't lie to him about big things? Can I get an amen, brothers? All right. Ladies, sit down. Would it be okay now if I give you a safe answer? Okay. How about this? I'm not ready to talk about that yet. Is that honest, men? Is that honest, ladies? So you got to say what you needed to say, but you didn't play games and you didn't have to lie. You didn't breach his trust in you. Now, ladies, I'm going to give you a bonus. Would you like to know how to get whatever you want from your man? Would you? Yes? You already know. Okay, well, you and I'll talk later. All right. Ladies, you realize men can only think about one thing at the same time? Okay, so if he is watching TV, on his computer, on his iPad, on his iPhone, reading a book or a newspaper or magazine, if somebody still has those, you don't exist. You get that, right? Okay. But when you decide you're going to go out together and he says, "What are you going to do? What do you want to do?" And he says, "Whatever you want." Is that an honest answer, men? Oh, for the men it is. If you ask your husband, "What do you want to do?" and he says, "Honey, whatever you want." Is that true? Why? Because all he wants is for you to be happy. Because if you're not his wife, his whole life stinks. It's just the truth. But when he asks you what you want to do, and you say, "Whatever you want," men, is that a lie? What you want him to do is read your mind, think about what you want, and do that. Here's the problem. Men don't get clues. We don't get little clues. We don't get middle-sized clues. We don't get big ones. We don't get huge clues. We don't get clues. You want to talk in clues, that's what your girlfriends are for. But here's how to get what you want from your man. Get his undivided attention. That means if you turn off the TV, don't do that in the middle of the Super Bowl. Other than that, fair game. But you get into his personal space. You got to invade his space to make sure you have his full attention. You actually may need to put your hands on the side of his face. Look him directly in his eyes and say, "I want you to take me to see this chick flick, and I want to go to Baskin-Robbins." And he's going to say, "Okay," because he just wants you to be happy. So now, men, you know how to listen. Women, you know how to get what you want from your man. Yes? All right, is that making sense to you guys? You following this? Okay. You think this will work for you? Okay. All right, we've talked about validating feelings. This is a friend of mine. Mark Ensign owns a branding business. He's a successful business owner. He said, "Stan changed the way I look at my wife, my marriage, my role as a parent. After 17 years, I just assumed that our marriage would continue to be good most of the time. Difficult some of the time and unbearable every now and then. With just a few slight shifts in how we communicate and show up for each other, we're now extraordinary most of the time. How would you like to have a marriage that you felt was extraordinary most of the time? Would you?" Okay. Here's the third one, prioritize. How many of you are busy? How many of you got calendars that are planned out days, weeks, sometimes months? Okay. But if I ask you to take out your calendar and over the last 30 days, show me all of the time that is specifically blocked out for your spouse. There are an awful lot of people kind of looking down. I'm seeing a lot of crowns of heads right now. Okay. All right, let's think about that for a second. If you know that all the real joy and happiness and passion in life comes from the relationship, and you know that the money doesn't make you happy because you know miserable rich people, why are you not putting the marriage first in your calendar? What if you sat down with your husband or wife, and you built a schedule for a week or a month, or for vacations, maybe 3 or 6 months out, and you block time in your calendar for the most important relationship in your life, and you build your business around it? What kind of a model would that be for your children? What kind of a model would that be for the people you work with, that you teach, that you train? The model is family first. Because when the family's right, you can fix everything in your business, can't you? And if the family's misery, the business don't matter. Okay. So you can calendar it, you can do loving act. How hard is it to get a yellow sticky pad? Everybody know what a yellow sticky pad looks like? How hard would it be to leave one line note or a heart or on a yellow sticky pad on the mirror for your husband or wife every day? How hard would that be? Or if you happen to make a lunch for them, stick it in their lunch, stick it on top of their underwear drawer, somewhere they're going to see it. Even if you didn't do it every day, find a little loving act you can do every day.
The expectation was more of a commitment to her than the...
Mike Calhoun runs probably the preeminent business mastermind in the country called Board of Advisors. So Mike and Bruni came to an event that I did last month.
The expectation was more of a commitment to her than the event. I really wasn't necessarily like going, yeah, let's go sit in a hotel room. But I knew that I needed to make that commitment to her, to focus on her. Stan was talking about those daily deposits, those daily incremental things that build up trust, right? Those things that we either do or don't do on a regular basis that, I thought maybe they're not that important, or maybe they're not that big a deal. But at the end of the day, in her world, they're a major deal.
Coming to an event like this, and especially listening to other people, it just really makes you think that there's something that I really need to work in my marriage. And there's something that I need to take away from this meeting or seminar, if you will, and really put them apply in our daily life.
42 years of marriage experience. How do you, that's just unbelievable to me. 42 years of marriage experience, and he takes all the right elements and he walks you through a process that, for me, we just don't take the time to do. You don't know what you're getting into. Stan is, I hate to say it, but Stan is the man. He is a pro. He's genuine. I don't think there was a wiser move that we could have made for our relationship in one day.
All right, learn and grow. How many of you know couples who have not really had any traumatic event? No infidelity, no death, no tragedy, but they just grew apart over time. That goes back to what Peter and what these guys were talking about being intentional about your marriage. You have to make a decision that you're going to grow together. Do you think that the little 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid you saw in the prom picture, are those the same people that exist now? Right. Tony Robbins says, change is inevitable. Progress is a choice. You choose what you're going to be. You can choose what your relationship is. You can define it. You can make it extraordinary. Now, so you can assess what you do, plan stuff together, but let's get over this thing of, ladies, plan what you want to do this week, go do it. Next week, let him decide what he wants to do, and you go with him without complaining. Because you love each other enough to do the things that you want to do, right? That's giving. That's giving of yourself. That's what that presence is. When you put away the phone, you disconnect from the electronics to reconnect with human beings. That's giving a gift. There is no more precious gift that you can give your spouse or your children than your time. Zig Ziglar said children spell time T-I-M-E. They spell love T-I-M-E. I changed it a little bit. Children spell love T-I-M-E with your full attention. Okay? Now, this is somebody else that was at that event. We got to participate in Stan's goal to save 1 million marriages. What we didn't know was how innovative and special this day would be for us and everyone in the room. Guided gently by Stan, the stories came out, some wonderful, some sad, some confused, but here we were all in one room with different versions, different histories, vastly different ages. We all left the room with a new look at life and a new look at our partnership. Thank you, Stan, for this wonderful insight on our marriages and the most important person in our life, our partners, husbands, and wives. If you don't take anything away from this but the very last sentence in here, take that away. The most important person in the world, your husband, your partner, your wife. Okay? Now, the fifth one is celebrate. You remember when you were dating what you used to do? You had fun, right? You didn't marry somebody that you thought, oh gosh, this is boring. There was something about them that excited you that was fun. But then there comes the wedding is great, the marriage the honeymoon happens, and then you go back to work. You have bills, then you have children, then you are sleep deprived, then you are busy, then you can't find a way until you learn to lock your bedroom door not to end up with 1, 2, 3, or 4 children sleeping with you some point during the night. It's okay to lock your doors, parents. It really is. They'll be fine. One of mine slept on the door stoop for about a week till he got over it. So, look, it was simple. I wasn't sharing my wife with anybody else, including my kids, right? That's what you do. So you set some outcomes, you determine some rewards, and you have some fun.
We just got done with the diamond.
That is Dave Van Hoos. Dave Van Hoos is the founder of Speaking Empire, one of the preeminent speakers in America. Laura Hardy and he have begun a relationship.
We just got done with the Diamond Relationship Seminar, and it was incredible. It was absolutely something we never even expected. Our relationship is going to be so much better, our communication. And not only that, we just had fun, right? It was just absolutely fun to be around other people. And it was just
I think my favorite part of this was being able to hear other couples' stories, because we're not actually married yet. And so being able to hear stories from people that are married and have been married for a long time, or just newlyweds, it was really nice to be able to hear and see how vulnerable they were able to be and communicate with one another. So it really gave us this warm sense of community being here. It wasn't awkward like what I thought it was, might be. So we loved it. I highly recommend anyone that is in a relationship or wants to be in a relationship to go through this course, for sure.
Okay. Will you be our next success story? There's an interesting thing about that picture. You see, the husband and wife, when they together, look at their hands. Looks like the pitch of a roof, doesn't it? And the little child under it. The child is safe when mom and dad are together. That's their safety and stability. So that's the fun things in life, the things you do with the family. Would it be okay if I share with you how I can help you? Would it be okay? All right. The Diamond Relationship Formula teaches you 5 keys of lasting, loving marriages. Teaches you what divorce lawyers don't want you to know. Wouldn't you like to know what divorce lawyers don't want you to know? Because it affects their bottom line. Diamond Marriage Blueprint, secrets of making your spouse feel treasured, a simple tool to measure improvement in your marriage. This is not for somebody who says, I've given up, my marriage is perfect, I just don't care anymore. Who is it for? It doesn't matter if you're not in a relationship and you want to understand how to find the right person and build a sound foundation, whether you're engaged and looking to get ready to be married, been married 5 days, 5 years, 50 years. If you want to take your marriage to the next level, that's what this is for. Now, here are the course materials. It's the box. That's 42 years. And a lot of hours spent counseling other couples on what they do, how their relationships are built, finding the things that work, sorting out the things that don't. Now, it's a value of $24.97. One of the other things I do is put in a secret to listening masterclass. How do you really get down to communicating on a different level? If you knew how to do that, something you already done, that has a value of $19.97. A Prioritizing Your Marriage masterclass will give you an opportunity to actually get some tools, put in your hands some things that will help you create a plan to develop a marriage that will thrive. It's a retail value of $9.97. And a private Forever Marriage community. This is a private Facebook community by invitation only. People who are committed to changing their marriages and improving them to go into the next level. Retail value is $14.97. And then 2 live event tickets. You get to come and spend 2 or 3 days in a boot camp with other couples where you can get down. We had people who are very successful in business sitting looking across at their spouse with tears in their eyes, and the comment was, I don't ever think about this stuff, much less cry about it. How about getting to the point where you are vulnerable enough with your spouse to feel what's really there? Because if you can't feel pain, you shut yourself off, you can't feel pain, you can't feel love and pleasure either. You get them both. They're two sides of the same coin. Retail value $19.97. So the Diamond Relationship Formula includes the course materials, the Secret to Listening Correctly Masterclass, Prioritizing Your Marriage Masterclass, Private Forever Marriage Community, 2 live event tickets. Whoops. Total value, $8,985. Now, if all the Diamond Relationship Formula did was help you feel more love, joy, passion, and connection with your spouse every day, would it be worth it? If all it did was help you feel like you were the most important part of your spouse's world, would it be worth it? If all the Diamond Relationship Formula did was help you build a loving, happy home and spare your children the agony of divorce, would it be worth it? All right. Peter's a friend. He invited me here today, asked me if I would do something special for you. So while I'm in the room today, the Diamond Relationship course is not $8,985. It's not $5,000. It's not even $2,500. Your simple, easy investment now is $19.97. Now, for those of you who feel that that's something that would help your marriage, it would make your life better, get up, see Dee Dee in the back of the room, and she'll help you get started. Now, some of you are saying, that's a lot. But I am so confident that you're going to get massive results. You have my personal 100% money-back guarantee. You have 30 days, use the entire course. For any reason you're not satisfied, I'll buy it back from you. I'll even pay your return shipping. So you have no risk. You have nothing to lose, but you have a diamond marriage to gain. Now, for those of you who are willing to invest in your marriage today, I'm going to give you 3 bonuses. A one-on-one results now strategy session with me. Retail value $14.97. Second one is 3 group coaching sessions, and I tailored this one to this group because Peter told me there were going to be network marketers in this group. Anybody in this room in network marketing? Okay. If you invest in the Diamond Relationship course today, the 3 group coaching calls, you will be able to invite your entire downline to participate in them. I'll give you a link. All of your entire downline can participate in those calls. So it's an opportunity for you to create a resource, to give a resource to your downline to try to insulate them against some of the things you've already seen happen in your business. Retail value, that's $24.97. And then third bonus is a 90-day marriage reassessment. Part of what you'll do is assess your marriage. The third one is find out 90 days from now how much improvement you've made in it. Because the Diamond Relationship Formula contains a mathematical formula that will help you numerically measure where your relationship is right now and allow you to see improvement over time. Retail value is $19.97. So you have the Diamond Relationship Formula includes all of those things, plus the first bonus, the one-on-one results now coaching strategy session, the 3 group coaching sessions that you can invite your entire downline to, the 90-day marriage reassessment, so that the total value is $14,976. Today, it's $19.97. Are you worth the investment? You're here because you know the value of investing in yourself. If you want to learn something, you want to go to the next level, you have to do that. More important question is, are they worth the investment? What are they worth? So, stand up, Go back to the room and see Dee Dee. Now, some of you, you're sitting there saying, I don't know. I'm not sure about this. If you would like to know how you can get the entire Diamond Relationship Formula and all the bonuses absolutely free, follow me to the back and I'll let you know. Thanks a lot.
Test. Thank you.